So the other reason may be the internal resistance R may be negligible compared to R. Or the circuit which contain the resistance box, may be incomplete. So let's look at this. The third point, the circuit which contains the resistance box may be incomplete. So it is just like keeping this switch open. Okay. If you keep the switch open over here, obviously this part is not in the circuit. Therefore, it is just like you are having only the battery. Then the balance length will be the same balance length L0. It won't change whether you change R. Okay. And let's say you have removed the infinity plug. So if you have removed the infinity plug means the resistance is infinity. So when the resistance is infinity, it is also just like keeping the switch open. So the first and the third are similar. The first and the third have similar explanation. Clear with that? Now let's look what will happen when simple R is negligible compared to capital R. So in that circuit, if you can remember, you have a circuit just like this, E, R and capital R. So here E is equal I into R plus R. I is equal E over R plus R. Then V is equal I into R. So that is ER over R plus R. Now from this equation, you should understand that if R is very small compared to capital R, then R plus R is still almost equal to capital R. So V is almost equal to E. Then the voltage won't change, right? If the voltage doesn't change, if the terminal voltage doesn't change much, then the balance length also doesn't change much. Okay? So are these 3 points clear? And have you completed the note? Clear and completed the note? Raise your hand. Come and search up what you have completed. Okay, done, Shahana. So when we use the potentiometer, there are some precautions and observations that we have to make. So next subtopic, precautions and observations when using a potentiometer. So let's draw a simple diagram of a potentiometer. So very important part, the first one, you must look if the positive terminal of the battery, the positive terminal of E naught and the positive terminal of E, both of them are connected to one end of the potentiometer. If it is connected in the other direction, you will not get an balance point. So the positive terminals of the of the primary and secondary cells are connected to one end of the potentiometer wire. Next, to obtain to obtain a balance length, to obtain a balance length, a balance condition, or to obtain a balance condition, E naught should be greater than should be greater than should be greater than E. Longer the balance length, longer the balance length, less error, less error in measuring, less error in measuring it, and less significance. And significance of end error, significance of end correction is less. So that is why we always try to keep the reading above 30 and 70 centimeter. Okay. Overpressing, overpressing of potentiometer wire. Overpressing of potentiometer wire is not recommended. To protect galvanometer from higher current, higher resistance, higher resistance is connected in series, to it. With the higher resistance, with the higher resistance, and approximate or a rough balance, is obtained, and the higher resistance is short circuit, is next short circuit, to obtain an accurate balance. Next, important, when initiating the experiment, when initiating the experiment, the sliding key the sliding key is contact, the sliding key is contact at each end, of the potentiometer, or slided or slided from one end to the other. During that, during that, during that, the the galvanometer should deflect in opposite directions. In opposite directions, passing through the zero. Passing through zero. To ensure balance condition. So you can do two things, okay? You can either bring into contact one end and the other end only, or you can slide. So both of them are the same. When you do that, the galvanometer should deflate initially on one side, and when you bring it to the other end, it should go to the other side. So it will go through zero, right? It will go through zero. So you know that there is a balance condition in between somewhere. Okay, is that point clear? So this is the first thing you have to do when you are starting the experiment. Below that, if the galvo doesn't deflect, doesn't deflect to either sides, to either sides, following may be the reason. Following may be the reason. First one, the EMF, EMF of the cell, EMF of the EMF of the cell to be balanced, to be balanced, maybe greater than E naught. So E is greater than E naught. Then obviously you won't get a balanced length, right? Second, the opposite terminals, the opposite terminals of primary and secondary cells are connected to the same end of the potentiometer wire. Of the potentiometer wire. So just think of a situation like this. When you have a battery connected in this way, the current that is coming over here, the current that is entering this node will surely go through this, right? It will, for 100% sure, it will flow through this battery because it is also promoting the current flow. So you are not able to get a balance length. It is for sure. Then if you're not getting a balance length, that may also be a reason. The batteries are connected incorrectly. Or the other reason may be the potentiometer circuit. The potentiometer circuit is disconnected at some point. So the circuit may be incomplete somewhere. If it is incomplete also, this potentiometer is not going to work properly. Then it won't give a balance length. Or this primary cell may be discharged a lot. It may be discharged a lot where the EMF goes below the secondary circuit. So it might be also a reason. The cell, the cell may be discharged, maybe discharged a lot where it is not discharged a lot to such extent, to such extent where it is not able, it is not able to provide cell may be discharged a lot. This is sufficient. The primary cell, the primary cell may be discharged a lot. Okay, noted up to this. So initially we have mentioned about the check we have to make. We have to check whether the galvanometer is deflecting either sides. If it is not deflecting, this may be the reason. So we check for these reasons if there is any problem or not. Okay, if there is any problem, we rectify it and we can continue with the experiment. We can go for that check once again. Check whether the galvanometer is deflecting for both sides. If it is deflecting properly, then we can continue with the experiment. Have you noted? So yeah, how about you? Completed. Okay, so next topic, advantages of a potentiometer. Advantages of potentiometer. So let's say we have to measure the voltage across this resistor. Where there is a current flow I, the resistance is capital R, then we know that V is equal IR. I use a voltmeter to measure this voltage. So if I use a voltmeter to measure this voltage, although the ideal voltmeter there is no current flow, but a practical one, there will be a small current flow. So here, the current flow through this resistor is I minus I. So what we actually measure is V dash that is equal to I minus I R, where V dash is less than V. So this is the measured and this is the actual. This is measured and this is the actual. So measured is less than the actual for a voltmeter. When we use a potentiometer, if we use a potentiometer, the advantage of the potentiometer is it doesn't draw current. So this is the potentiometer. We want to measure the resistance across this resistor, which has a current flow I. So at balance there is no at balance there is no current flow. Therefore, what we measure here, if I measure the length L, if I measure the length L, then we know that uh, the voltage V is equal to IR. V is equal to IR and that is equal to KL. So here, the measured value is the actual value. The measured value is the actual value. So the potentiometer, the potentiometer can act as an ideal voltmeter, as an ideal voltmeter because because during the balance during the balance it does not during the balance no current is drawn by the potentiometer. Is it clear? From the circuit, okay? From the circuit. A voltmeter will draw current from the circuit, but the potentiometer doesn't draw current from the circuit. Next point, the balance length can be measured to an accuracy of 1 millimeter. If we use a meter stick, we can measure it to an accuracy of 1 millimeter. So the reading also will be much accurate. During the balance of the potentiometer, during the balance of the potentiometer,